I need white people to be intolerant of white supremacy in any and all forms that it manifests within the society. Now, let me explain where I'm coming from here. So, I know that I wasn't really going to mention this at first, but this is kind of because of interaction I had in a comment section where a black woman was discussing the racist dog whistles in Taylor Swift's new album. Like I said, I wasn't going to mention her name, but here we are, so I'm doing it. Now, as this black woman is expounding upon the racially charged language that appears in this album, there was a white liberal woman in the comments who was not happy, and she felt that there were better things to be angry about and that this was ridiculous, and this obsession that liberals and leftists have with the perfect liberal is pushing people to fascism or to the far right. And I disagreed, and this is what I said to her. I said, one, the inability of our majority white populace in the United States to listen to black women is the reason that we are where we are. And that's because black women and black people as a whole understand intimately the insidious nature of how white supremacy manifests itself in every corner of our society at a macro and a micro level. And do you know why? It's because in 1790, when whiteness was created as a legal term, but even a little before that, white people in this country, European people, to justify chattel slavery, to justify the genocide against First Nations peoples who own this land, as well as many other atrocities against people who did not look like them, created whiteness and white supremacy to justify their dehumanization and exploitation and annihilation of anyone who did not look like them. And they used doctors, teachers, artists, preachers, lawyers, judges, slave patrol, which eventually became the police, and many other people in multiple sectors of society to reinforce these white supremacist ideologies. They used pamphlets, they used songs, they used sermons, they used BS academic studies. They literally were so meticulous about setting the groundwork and the structure that in 2025 today is moving in the exact way that they hoped and intended, to the point that many people in this country say and participate in white supremacy every day without even realizing it. And then when they hear the people, and when I said people before, I mean white people, although anybody can participate in uplifting white supremacy, but white people are the ones who benefit from white supremacy the most. And with that, they are also the ones who seem to be the most blind or oblivious to it. Now, when I say listen to black women, that is because black women and black people in general, POC too, but I'm black, so I'll speak to black people. We have to be experts in how white supremacy manifests if we want to survive and hold on to our humanity in this society that was built for our subjugation, dehumanization, and ultimately annihilation. We cannot afford to allow minute manifestations of white supremacy to go unchecked, because all that does is allow them to fester and grow into more grandiose, terrifying manifestations of white supremacy, like the orange thing that's currently occupying the White House. That didn't happen overnight. When you have a dominant group that is inheriting a system that's so insidious that it's in our nursery rhymes, the toys children play with, the foods we have access to, when it's in the colloquialistic phrases that are being used, like, it's so insidious. We cannot afford to allow any inch of it to survive if we want to move to a place of liberation collectively. And I know that marginalized people understand this. Racially marginalized people understand this. I'm saying that white people need to understand this. So when I think to this conversation that I was having in the comments with this white liberal woman, I literally was saying to her, this is not about perfection or finding a perfect liberal or being morally correct about everything. That's, from what I have observed with listening to my fellow black mutuals, and talking to my Black community offline and checking in with myself as well, what I'm hearing and what I know to be true for me and for many of the people in my community, we are not talking about the like minute I don't believe any manifestation of racism is really minute, but you know what I mean. We're not talking about racist dog whistles or microaggressions because we want to be perfect. We're doing it because we understand that if we don't call these things out, name them and eradicate them, they will manifest and grow into public opinion. They will manufacture consent for our dehumanization to continue, and that will continue in legislation, that will continue in the way that we are brutalized by law enforcement, that will continue, and the populace will accept it as status quo. Because, again, like in the 1700s to now, white supremacy is in every structure of our society. And we also have an educational system and leadership in this country that is invested in white people, especially not knowing that and not taking it seriously when they learn that information, which is what allows it to grow and grow into the terrifying beast that it is right now. It's always been and gets worse. So, all of this to say, when you, as a white person, are noticing or hearing Black and brown people talk about racist dog whistles or ways that white supremacy manifests, and you think to yourself, well, that's not that big of a deal. It's like mold. You see one spot of mold and you think it's not a big deal. So you don't do anything about it. And then day goes by, multiple days go by, suddenly your entire wall is covered in it. And now it's starting to stink up the whole house. I need white people to be intolerant of white supremacy, not for the sake of being perfect, but because to tolerate even the tiniest root of it in any section of our society only works to perpetuate and normalize white supremacy in its more grandiose presentations. And that is killing everybody who is not white and eventually will kill white people too. So, food for thought.